All right, so we are looking at documents D, E, and F right now in our document-based questions for the Brown v. Board of Education DBQ essay. All right, so document D, which is the dissenting opinion of Plessy versus Ferguson, 1896. We looked at the majority opinion, which was the ruling on the case in document C. Now we're in document D, which is the dissenting opinion, which is the it is not the ruling that happens, but basically it's the other side of what the opinion and the ideas from the side that doesn't win, unfortunately. So the dissenting opinion in Plessy versus Ferguson, 1896. All right, remember Plessy versus Ferguson was a landmark court case that said that separate but equal was constitutional and it was allowed by federal law. So this is what's going against the ruling. So the people that wrote the dissenting opinion do not believe that separate but equal is constitutional, that it follows the Constitution. So in the eye of the law, there is, in this country, no superior dominant ruling class of citizens. There is no caste here. Our Constitution is colorblind and neither knows nor tolerates classes among citizens. In respect of civil rights, all citizens are equal before the law. The destinies of the two races in this country are indissolubly linked together, and the interests of both require that the common government of all shall not permit the seeds of race hate to be planted under the sanction of law. Okay, so a lot of good stuff, a lot of really interesting stuff I'm going to break down for you in here. All right, so in the eye of the law, in this country, there's no superior dominant ruling class of citizens. There is no caste here. The caste system is it's a class structure system connected to Hinduism and India, where basically you're born into a certain social class and you're kind of stuck into that. So if you were born and your parents were rich, you're going to be rich. If you were born poor, your parents are going to be poor. There's only certain jobs that you can attain. There's only a certain amount of wealth you can attain. You can only marry someone within your social class. So this is saying there's no caste system here. We don't have that in the United States. Our Constitution is colorblind and neither knows nor tolerates classes among citizens. In the respect of civil rights, all citizens are equal before the law. Now remember, this goes back to the 14th Amendment, which has equal protection under the law. It says it's a federal requirement. The destinies of the two races in this country are indissolubly linked together. Indissolubly, think about something dissolves, right? So this is saying indissolubly means that we're linked together, right? Our destinies are linked together and they can't be dissolved, right? They're always together. And the interests of both require that the common government shall not permit the seeds of race hate to be planted under the sanction of law. So that basically says that, listen, the government cannot and should not allow the law to sanction or allow race hate. All right, the laws cannot permit discrimination and bias and bullying and cruelty. So the question here is, in this opinion written by the courts contains ideas that are opposite those of document C. Select two quotes from this document that disagree with major ideas from document C. So really what you're doing here is go back to document C and kind of look. The big ideas here are that they say that while African Americans are supposed to have equality before the law, that there are still natural, things, by natural distinctions based on color, and that we need to keep the races apart. And then this one says that separate doesn't necessarily mean that one is better than the other. So you're choosing things that go against these ideas. So for instance, if I was taking intended to abolish distinctions based on color or to enforce social as distinguished from political equality or commingling, just thinking aloud, I would say that in respect, our Constitution is colorblind and neither knows nor tolerates classes among citizens. That could be a quote. All right, so you're going to choose 2 quotes from there. All right, and then remember, this is the dissenting opinion. This is the opinion that did not, the decision that was made did not follow this. Okay, so documents E and F are also linked together like C and D. All right, so document E, Washington, D.C. Public Schools, First Division class, making geometric forms with paper in 1899. So what you're doing is you're describing what's going on in the photo, and then you're describing the conditions of the schoolhouse using 2 or 3 adjectives. An adjective is a describing word. Okay, so looking up here, we're thinking Washington, D.C. We're thinking 1899, so this is post-Civil War, turn of the century. Looking here, it looks like they're in a math class, geometric, right? Making manipulatives or things with paper. At first glance, looking at it, you have a teacher right here, and then you have the students and their desks. It looks like the students all have desks. Looks like they all have materials. There are boys and girls in the space. So they have different gender, it's like mixed gender. The classroom looks pretty neat and tidy. So they're learning math, they're doing hands-on work. All right. There's kind of like, looks like there's work on the walls. All right. So they're basically in a math class. All right, describing the conditions. All right, using adjectives. One might be that it seems orderly. They have supplies. It's supplied. Looks like everyone has the things that they need. It's neat, orderly. All right, now document F. Okay, document F. Look at the title, African American Schoolgirls in Classroom Learning to Sew, 1899. What are the similarities between this photo and document F? And what are some of the differences? Look carefully, okay? So what I really need people to do is really delve into what they're seeing and then what they're learning. All right, so both of them are in 1899. It does not say where this photo was taken. I don't know if it was Washington, D.C. as well. Okay. So looking at this, so we're also in a classroom. All right, there's stuff written on the board. It looks like the teacher is showing students some work. Looks like students are all wearing the same uniform. All of them are in desks, learning to sew. It does not look looks like all girls, no boys in this classroom, and they're learning to sew. So some similarities between this and document F is that it's a classroom. They all have desks. They're learning something. I don't think this classroom has uniforms. And then what are some of the differences? Look carefully, right? So if we look and see, I think the hint that I'm going to give you for this one is think about what they're learning, and then what kind of occupations or jobs, or basically what is what they're learning. What is it preparing them for? Okay, so here they're looking at making geometric forms with paper. They're doing a hands-on math activity that's related to geometry. All right, and in here they're learning to sew. And think about what you're preparing each of these 2 groups of people who are of 2 different races. What are you preparing them to do, and what they're learning. So hopefully that helps you answer this. All right, thank you.